Hi there, it's Mike Thornton, and today we're going to take a tour around the new Sound Particles 2.1, which was released today. Now, Sound Particles is the CGI for audio, and each particle is assigned an audio file, enabling you to build up huge landscapes, just a handful of audio files. With Sound Particles, there's a couple of ways that you can get started. First, if we go into New in the File menu, and what we have when we go for a new project is a series of templates. And you can check your template out. You can see now that what's happening is it's showing an audio particle going from right to left. And we can listen to the original static audio file. And then we can hear what it sounds like when it's going to be rendered using this template. We could try another one. So let's try this one, flying out of a cave. Now it could be something like bats. You can see a stream of particles coming out past the microphone and away. So this is the original sound they put with the template. So some sort of static engine. And this is what it sounds like when you run the template demo. So from this new project templates, you can watch how the particles will move when you open up the full project, and you can also get a sense, a trial of what it's going to sound like with a demo file. So when you're happy with that particular template, in this case what I'm going to do is to select empty and click OK. So we'll create an empty template, because the second way you can get started is new in 2.1, and that is these track presets. And you can see here that there is a whole range of different track presets that you can go for. And of course, these are the 100 or so track presets that Sound Particles provide with 2.1 to get you going. But once you've got them, you can actually save your own track presets once you've created a project, and then obviously recall them whenever you need them. So let's go back to a simple Doppler. Here's a project that I created from that Doppler template. I've added one single file, and we can audition that. So as you can hear, it's a mechanical alarm clock. And watch what happens when I come to play the demo project. You'll see that we have this blue dot, which represents the single sound particle. So we just play that again, and this time we look at the microphone. So here we have a 5.1 microphone. And then we've got sort of plan view, top view, and also perspective view. So we can have these split windows so we can get a sense, especially when you're working with height channels, you can start to get a sense of what it's going to both look and sound like. Now you can see that we've got a 5.1 microphone at the moment. So we could make it mono, and that would just be a single file. Or we could make it into stereo. And you can see here we can have different types of stereo mics. So we've got an XY pair here, it could be an MS pair, Blumline pair. So you've got a good choice of different stereo microphones, but obviously, yeah, we can then go on to multi-channel, and that's back to our 5.1. We could change that. So if we go into the speakers option, you can see that we've got different options for surround up to 7.1, And then in Immersive, we could go all the way up to Auro 13.1. So we'll leave it on 5.1 for now. And we'll just re-render that out. And there's another very useful feature here in the I/O setup. There is a binaural render option. So because I'm working in Immersive, you may not always have a full immersive monitoring system. So second best is a binaural render of the immersive audio, whether it's Dolby Atmos, Auro 3D, 5.1, whatever it happens to be. And this will give you a much better indication of how it will sound once you're into an immersive mode. So you can do all your track laying and all your prep work with the right track format, or you could choose to run it all in stereo, and then when it comes to outputting, then you could choose to change the mic system from stereo to whatever format that you need. And of course, you may need to be able to output different immersive formats, and that's all perfectly doable. You don't lose all the other information that you might have put into a project. So let's move on to flying out of the cave. If you remember that this was like a streaming of particles coming out towards you. And in this case, we've got a particle emitter because we're emitting many particles. Each individual particle is a sound element, and it's spewing them out at 10 particles a second, and it does it for 5 seconds. And obviously you've got the choice up here to adjust all those sorts of settings. Now I've added 4 different alarm clock sounds here. So let's take a listen and see what it sounds like. You can see all the particles streaming out. If we go into the mic view, so here's our microphone. So streaming past the microphone, in this case a 5.1. And it sounds amazing. You know, that sort of fly past when you're listening on 5.1. But of course, at the moment you're hearing the binaural render to 5.1, but I will post some immersive example files in the main article for you to take a listen to. Next, I'm going to take a look at a project that was based on the immersive fire sample. So here, that's the original. And then when you hear it as running as the template, so what I've done is I've created a project based on that immersive fire template, but instead of fire sounds, I have put in a number of handgun samples, over 60 plus, well, go down to the bottom, 67 files. And so again, if we just play this, you can see in the viewers how the sounds are being triggered. Each one of these dots is an individual, in this case, handgun shot. And you can see how it expands and propagates as the particles appear. And that's all set up from the particle emitter. You can see there's 100 particles a second. It lasts for 10 seconds. And you can control how it starts, how it propagates. All of these settings, every single parameter is all modifiable. And of course, you've also got the option for adding automation too. Now, I have to say that this particular example did start to stress my computer somewhat. You can see that the cursor is struggling to keep up. And in fact, I ended up needing to use the offline render option rather than the real-time render to actually get this particular project to render out. But I suspect that has to do with 67 sample files, all at 192K sample rate. But the good news is, if you find that your computer's struggling, then you've got this option for an offline render. Now, you can also use sound particles to add sound layers to a CGI created video. And by importing the CGI files, Sound Particles will know where all those elements are in the soundscape, in the video, and you can then place your chosen sounds exactly where they need to be, and they will be panned around the 3D soundscape because Sound Particles can extract the position data from the CGI files. So there you have it, a very quick demo in which we've barely touched the surface of what Sound Particles can do. Do check out the article on Production Expert and listen to some of the immersive examples and find out what we think about Sound Particles 2.1. I'll see you again soon.